I've come to learn that all the World War II vets in the Navy, how humble they are, and they live their lives just so that we could have a better life. It wasn't about them. I learned, really, it wasn't about them. It was about myself and his grandkids and my kids to be able to have freedom. It just, every time I come to one of these reunions, I still see it in their faces. Their smiles just remind me that it wasn't about them. It was, I'm just so grateful that they did it for us.
I want you to know, for one thing, you did a lot of growing up. You did a lot of acting on your own, which is something you've probably never done in your life. But this is one of the most important things, is you had to perform things that, frankly, an 18-year-old had no concept of what was needed of them. But when you was asked to perform a service, they expected you to do so. You handled jobs that you never expected to do when you were grown, much less a young man.
I learned the lesson that the United States is the greatest country in the world, that whatever you choose to do, if you've got the courage and the devotion for it, you can achieve that wonderful goal. I sounded general quarters on this ship ahead of us, which had taken a suicide plane. Yes, we dropped cargo nets and our small Higgins boats, and these kids and several people dove in the water and so saved the lives of several of these sailors, and we took them on board. I don't know how many we had. We also had to cut our engines because the screws would have really injured the poor kids that had gotten underneath the ship, you know.
Well, at the time the LST 884 was struck by a kamikaze, most of the crew abandoned ship. So our convoy broke up that we were in, and we slowed our speed down, and we put at that time we dropped the cargo net over the starboard side of the ship. It was tied to the railing, and when we dropped it over the side, it touched the water. We did that so that we could come alongside of the Marines and the sailors that were floating in the water. I would like to tell the young people of today that the most wonderful experience that they would gain in their lives would be to serve in the military. I don't say serve and make a career out of it, but maybe serve one hitch or so and then get on with your life. It'll make you a much better person.
When I went aboard ship, one day the boatswain's mate, who was a career boatswain's mate, and he said to me, "Hey, go get me a crescent wrench." So I was a naive kid. I said, "What's a crescent wrench?" He said, "Well, you're an engineer and you don't know what a crescent wrench is." But I'll tell you, I mean, if I had been a little smarter, I would have said, "Okay," and I could have got down below and said to somebody, "Hey, give me a crescent wrench." But anyway, after that, I was in the engine room and I learned so very much And I did so very much. I learned so much. By the time I was 19, I was in charge of $1 million engine room, the generator room. And in the main engine room, I was the commander of the section I was in for being in the engine room. So I learned a lot, and that definitely went on for the rest of my life to be able to deal with mechanics and electricity and everything like that. And everybody went through the same thing. As I said, during emergency situations like wars, I mean, young guys that graduated from college were made captains of these small ships, LCIs, LSTs, and other. So it brings out the best in you, brings out the potential in you that you never knew you had.
The lessons that I learned, and I have 4 children, and they participated, came to ships when I was in port, but it really shaped who I am today. As an 18-year-old, learned a few lessons of working together, keeping your clothes picked up, maintaining a positive attitude, and I still hold reveille. The girls don't like that. I have a son and 3 girls, and the girls never liked Dad holding reveille on a Saturday morning.
But we went out there in an LCT, and they swung over the side, and a friend of mine was the skipper of the ship at the time, and we didn't know what it was, but they got out, and 2 fellas came down in khaki, not uniforms, but khaki dress, something like I have on now, and didn't know who they were, and got them on board too, and we headed back to shore. I saluted Captain McVeigh. He took off for around, he was going back to Leyte, and I saluted him, probably the last person he saw, because on the way down, the Indianapolis was torpedoed and sunk. That's a long story also. But we took the 2 bombs in shore, on the way in, I asked these 2 fellows, I said, "What's in these crates here?" And they said, "Oh, those are the atomic bombs." I said, "Oh," because we carried a lot of bombs and ammunition for other ships. And I said, "Do they make a big bang or something like that? Or are they pretty powerful?" He said, "Yeah, they make a big bang."
Well, you got to remember that a lot of people died in that war. They died doing a job that had to be done, and they should not be forgotten.